Okay, welcome back. So in this part we're going to connect back to the server, both using a wire, the Ethernet, and Wi-Fi. Now why you might want to do this is it's very easy to make a bootable USB, as we did in the previous part, and you can then connect back to a server which has all the install files on it over the internet, over the Ethernet. Of course, there are machines that don't have Ethernet ports, and you can use one of those USB to Ethernet dongles that you can buy, and in that case you need to install the driver for it, as we did in parts 3 and 4. So first of all, we're going to connect to the server using Ethernet. It's plugged in, it's ready to go. And I've done this little script called Connect that you can incorporate into StartNet if that's the final functionality that you really want. So it has a hardwired IP address. You could use a net BIOS name if you wanted, but it's obviously quicker with an IP address. And if you use a net BIOS, the ping will fail every time for the all four. Whereas if it's an IP address, it might find it on the second or third attempt. Well, actually, notice it's got attempt 1 here. It will try this ping multiple times until it actually makes the connection. Now this Windows PXE has been up for a couple 5 minutes, see, and so it has stabilized. But if you had this in a StartNet, it would go fast enough that it might fail. It then, once it's found the server, stops the service and then connects to it. And here it is. So it's got all the install files that we described in part 2. So that's connecting over the Ethernet, and that's done with Connect. Connects to a share. There's the attempts, there's mounting the share, taking out the username and password for security reasons, and it does a wait, call wait. I'll put that in the comments along with this script. The wait is found to work better when you do this net stop afterwards. Right, so that's connect. Now we're going to disconnect. Oh, better go back to D. Okay, now Connect 2 is going to use Wi-Fi, so I'm going to unplug the Ethernet. There it goes, and we'll just do Connect 2. So it's starting up the LAN. Notice that the wireless LAN adapter is running, but it's disconnected at the moment. Notice also this ping starts off a couple of general failures, and then the ping works, in which case it finds the server, stops the service as before, mounts the share, and same again. There are the install files. Now, why you might want to do this with Wi-Fi, it's possible that the machine doesn't have a network port. Installing over Wi-Fi is obviously a lot slower than a 1 gigabyte per second Ethernet cable. It is possible, but what we do, and as you'll see in the menu that I've published before, it will allow you to check if you've got the latest install files on the USB, and if you haven't, it will go and, well, you can go and copy it. Again, if you haven't, you copy it, say on a server that has plug it straight into the server and download over the Ethernet to make it as quick as possible. Okay, next I'll show you how to set up Wi-Fi in the boot.wim file. It does require all the Wi-Fi drivers to be loaded, as we talked about in parts 2 and 3. Now I'm going to show you how to set up the USB to boot and allow you to connect over Wi-Fi. So here was the connection batch file that I showed you before. Notice we start WLAN service and then add a profile of the Wi-Fi network that we're going to connect to. This contains the SSID and the password, and after that it will connect and carry on. So to get that file, Murdoch.xml, we open a command prompt as administrator, even if you're logged in as administrator, and then we have to type in that. Now that's going to be in the comments, so you don't have to make a note of it. You can just copy and paste it. You do that, and you get a profile in the same directory. So we go back there. There it is. Open that up, and you can see the name of the SSID is Murdoch Guest Network there, but the key thing is the password, and there's the password in the clear. Now you'd have to do this to get the right sort of hex name. You wouldn't want to work out that in hex, would you? And thereafter, if you ever change the name, change the password of the Wi-Fi network, you could go in there and just type it in manually. That needs to go, and we'll go back to the USB. Needs to go into the root. Notice I call it Murdoch just to keep it simple. There you go. And that's how it connects to Wi-Fi. Now, I did explain that we've got to use the recovery boot.wim, because that does have this service in it. However, it does have a couple of DLLs missing, dmcmnutils.dll and mdmregistration.dll. Now I'll put those names in the comments below so that you can copy them. Now they need to be copied into System32 of boot.wim. Again, in parts 2 and 3, I showed you how to open up a WIM file using DISM. So you just do that, pop them into System32, and you're good to go. Okay, and that's the end of this part.